And see what kind of comments we get. We are live. All right.
Excellent. All right.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We're live with Nonprofit Utopia. Got a special guest who is just like family. You know, once you're from
Yes.
Lawndale, except for some people, once you're from Lawndale, you found bad, Valerie.
That's cute, though. I tell you that. That is cute. That is cute.
No, but the truth of the matter is, we are so much like family. You have known my dad since all your life, right? Until he died, and then you and I met in 2000, and that's been what? Oh my goodness, 20 years ago. So
2 decades, isn't that something?
yes, it is. And thank you so much for joining us. And I want to thank everybody who is watching us on Facebook and YouTube Live and all those other destinations. Thank you so much for joining us. If you have any comments, any questions, you want to say hello, we would really love to hear from you, especially Syron. I was about to say this is like a reunion, but you ain't never really left. You may not live in Lawndale, but you never left. So I just want to say thank you for joining us and welcome. All right. So I have today Syron Smith. He is the founder of Block Club University. And Syron, you want to come to us in your own way and just tell us a little bit about yourself and how you started National Block Club University.
Well, it's like you just said, I feel like we're family. Your father, when I started at Gregory on the west side of Chicago, that's when spankings was still allowed. And I remember they would spank your hand, and they'd take your hand and get that ruler and let it fly. And those were some of the most memorable times I had at Gregory. I came over there in the 6th grade. So I was there from 7th grade on up to 6th grade to 8th grade. And your father, one of the things I remembered the most was him reminding me of my grandfather and the fact that you just know that they love you and want you to do well. And so no matter if you getting a spanking or not, you know that it's from a good place. So it wasn't any negativity or anything adverse to it. It was, you messed up, you got to pay for that mess up.
I can't imagine you getting out of line.
But Valerie, we moved from the projects to the west side, Central Park and Lexington, and our family was from a different street tribe. And so it was very, very, very sensitive, me being at Gregory them 2 years because of where I had come from. And so it was tough. It was tough. And Gregory was right across the street from some high-ranking people in the street industry.
Yeah. Yes. I remember that.
So it was kind of, I ain't gonna say traumatic, but let's just say it was a challenge. But I have great memories, but I also had some tumultuous memories as well from being over there on the west side from from where I came from.
Oh my goodness. Were you from the north side projects or south side projects?
So it was Cabrini Green, that's the north side. So that was every summer when my grandmother and her 8 children were there. And then we lived in Jane Addams, which is, they call it Tri-City or Little Italy, all of that little area there on Taylor. And so literally from both of those projects and moving to the west side was luxury. Like when we first got there at 3602 Lexington, we had a basement. I never had a basement before. We had an upstairs. I was in paradise,
Yeah, that's a beautiful block. Beautiful gray stones.
Yes, indeed. And coming from the concrete jungle, that was a big, significant improvement for us and our family, Yeah. So for those who don't know, my name is Syron Smith. For those who are very, very close to me, they know that full name, Syron. You heard Valerie say that too. But I go by Sy, S-Y.
I,
When,
I'm beginning to act like your mother now, huh?
no, that's what I was gonna say. The people who would chastise me call my full name. So when I hear Syron, it's like, all right, what did I do? Somebody got the goods on me. But yeah, Sy is easier.
Okay.
SY, so
All right.
um
I've been corrected. And you know who else I do like that too is Xavier Ramey. I know I
uh
just embarrass him, every time I tell everybody, how I met him and how he was a high school kid in our program and all that good stuff. The small grants and the other
yes,
programs produce some pretty strong leaders. I
yes.
wish I could say that we caused it. Y'all were just strong leaders and y'all happen to participate in the program.
You know though, the key, what I learned from being on 14th and Springfield, that's when we met with the small grants. That was during my early naive days, and
Mhm.
so if you hear some of my previous conversations online, you will hear me talk about how I'm anti-grant, and part of that was because when I first got started, seeing the debacle when it came to the grant process. Now your integrity speaks for itself. So when you took over, I was like, nah, that's cool beans there, because I just saw people stepping on each other for money, and that always disturbed me. Like, wow,
Mhm. And it wasn't
like
that
we
much
don't,
money.
huh?
I said, and it wasn't that much money.
Yeah, that don't matter. Some people just want to proceed to win. They just
Right.
whatever a win is, as long as I got it and you didn't get it, that's the victory for me.
Yeah, nah,
So
nah, 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 nah. Let me
yeah,
stop.
yeah. So now it
Yeah.
was so for me, those who don't know, 45 years old, married, father of four, joined the Navy in '93, October 13th. So my anniversary was just 2 days ago. I
Oh,
had a
and thank
chance.
you for your service.
Yes. Had a chance to travel around the world. That changed my perspective. And then came home and got started on the west side of Chicago, 14th and Springfield. And as this thing continues to move, Valerie, that block is that's where it all kicked off at for Chicago. So that's gonna be the museum block, Valerie.
Yeah, I love that block. Your mom must really love gravstones. Everywhere you lived in Lawndale is, real nice gravestones. And that was right across the street from Henson School. And I'm just so hurt that they closed that school. They put millions of dollars into that school and a bunch of artwork and a bunch of really new programs. They had 3D printing and other programs, and they closed the school and it's sitting there like an
Yeah,
empty tomb.
yeah,
I
yeah.
digress.
Well, fingers crossed. Honestly, because with the closing of schools, period, across the board, it's really a matter of visionary thinkers who can repurpose. And so,
Mhm.
unless they go in there and do too much damage structurally, it still can be repurposed, Valerie. And I'm hopeful that that's going to happen, because there's a need, but you need visionary leadership who can see past, the budget crisis, so they say.
Right. This is an opportune time for the right people, people
Hmm.
like you said, if they have vision. So
Yes.
I guess I want to go back. When I met you, was your organization called Block Club University or was it something else? I keep thinking it was something else. I can't remember.
Yeah, no. So you remember Dan Sanders, the
I,
legendary Dan Sanders on 13. He was on 12th and
I
Springfield,
can't.
part of CAPS. He was a legend in CAPS community policing.
Oh, for the life of me, I can't place his face.
So
But
Dan, he's transitioned now, but Dan used
oh,
to get on me because he hated the title. We were the Block Club Union. And
oh, that's
he couldn't
right.
stand that. He couldn't stand that. He used to get on me. The word union is a problem. And he used to get on me. So when I finally changed the name, he didn't know, but he was a big part of that.
Oh, okay. I said I know it was something else because I can remember making a mental note. Oh, he changed the name, but I
Hmm.
just couldn't remember what it was changed from. And I know if I see a picture of him, I would kick myself. Um,
Actually, it undergone five names, five different structures, to be honest, because when I first got started, It was Chicago Block Club Union.
Okay.
Chicago. And as we continue to expand and went to Gary, went to Detroit, went to St. Louis, we dropped Chicago off the title Chicago Block Club Union, and it just went to Block Club Union. So, and then it went to Block Club Union Charities. That's when I had went the 501c direction. So it
Mm-hmm.
was BCUC, Block Club Union Charities. And then we had the for-profit side, which was dealing with toilet tissue. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah, I remember
Yeah.
that.
So we've undergone, but at the core of it all was block by block. That was always the premise. Whatever we did, making sure we empowered the people on the block so that their
Mhm.
voice can be heard, independent of the ruling elites that have stood in the way of empowering the masses. So that's been always been the bedrock, is going against this system that's designed to keep people marginalized so that they can maintain power and authority.
Yeah, and one of the things I really loved about what you were doing, and you still do it, it's all about accountability. I mean, you will go from institution to institution, politician to politician. I don't care who you were. You even lit a fire up under me a couple times.
Not
You,
you. I don't remember that.
I, I got so busy I didn't return your call, and you went and called all around, made sure everybody who knew me and you knew me, you made sure you let them know so I can call you back. That was a little
I
embarrassing.
don't remember. I'm embarrassed now. I did that.
You did that. You're just an
Wow.
organizer to the heart. No, that's all right. I
Well,
called you back.
Mark Carter and I, we got into it. Our first interaction was a contentious one, So that was a long time ago,
Oh my goodness. His first encounters with a lot of people is
But
contentious.
but that came because I really first started this anti-violence work, and while I was active duty in the Navy, and I was
Mhm.
based in San Diego, and we were an hour away from Los Angeles. And so I don't know if you remember Yummy Sandiford. He was the real young
Yeah.
boy kid here in
Yep.
Chicago.
I
So
remember that.
it was a big deal nationwide. And I was on the ship with all my Navy guys, and it was such a discussion. I said, you know what? I got to get started. I can't wait till I get out the military. So San Diego didn't have too many hoods. So I would drive an hour and 20 minutes all the way to the hood of LA to get started. And so that's when I tell people it started in the projects, Robert Dowie homes inside of Watts, California, in LA, because I would
Wow.
drive up there on the weekends just to get started with engaging the guys and finding out how we can help them do what I did and travel
Mhm.
and turn their life around.
Oh, that is awesome. And I was about to ask you, did being in the military play any role in the way you do things? I mean, you're so organized, and everything seems to be uh, what is it, specialized? I mean, from
Yeah.
it's it's a top down but kind of grassroots
Yeah.
organization.
Yes.
It seems to me like something from the military. I could be wrong.
No. So I tell people, because my mom would tell you, growing up in the projects, remember TVs had the antenna. You had to
Oh,
put a coat hanger on it and extend
yeah,
the antenna.
yep,
So
and foil.
aluminum foil. So I used to go into the alleys I was 6 years old, 7 years old. I used to go in the alleys and find people TVs they threw away, and I'd drag it back in the house. I'd be bringing roaches in the house and everything, and I would make them work. I would make
Oh,
them TVs work. So I was a little shorty with my own TV. In the house you only had that flow model and a
right,
little bitty
right.
13 inch on top of it. But I had three TVs. Each one did something different. One had color, one was black and white. But
Oh my
my
goodness.
mom would tell you, I always found interest in what someone else threw away.
That's good. That's a good analogy because people
Hmm. Yep.
have thrown
I
people
always.
away, but you always empower people from
Yep.
wherever. And it was interesting. I just look at the people that you have worked with and you've developed over the years, and it's just amazing. It really is, and I can't thank you enough. Now, for people who are not from Chicago, what's a block club?
Exactly. You know that's a northern thing for sure, right? Because in the
Right.
South is rural. Um, Historically, block clubs have been weaponized against our community, especially in Chicago. Block clubs was how you was able to communicate to the precinct leader so that
Ah.
you can get your own taxpayer funded city services.
leave,
Totally wrong, right?
leave it to you. I'm expecting some textbook. The Black Club is your basic unit of government.
Mm-mm, mm-mm. Basic unit of control, because you can see right through that thing. But you know, it was the block organizing itself. The problem was the block organizing itself under the auspices of getting your own taxpayer resources. But if you're organized, then you get it more expeditiously. But the bottom line was it was used to make sure they can count votes. That's
Mhm.
from daily senior to daily junior. That's what that tool was used for in Chicago to me.
Right. Like I said, I'm expecting the textbook definition, but I guess I should have known not to expect the textbook definition from you.
You know that's what they used to always get on me. Sav, you don't do block clubs. Why you got it in the title? And it's because of relevancy. When people hear block clubs, they it makes them listen a little bit different. And so I did that purposely to go after those people who don't want to see block clubs independent and empowered.
Just working from within. See, I tell you, and that's a good thing. So, how did you actually decide that you wanted to go national? Is it just because you traveled, or you just kind of went to where the problems were?
So what I did, remember I started in Robert Dowie homes inside
Right.
of Los Angeles, and they was going through the same thing I was going through in Cabrini Green and in Jane
Okay.
Addams. Project life.
Mhm. Okay.
You isolated. Right outside the projects are the
How can you
Arabs
be
with the gas
isolated from
station.
all them people?
Or your culture is isolated.
Okay, good.
All you poor black people, y'all stay
Okay.
within this perimeter right here. So
Hmm.
so yeah, individually you're not isolated,
Okay,
but
good.
all of you guys are getting government assistance, so that's the
Hmm.
isolation. And so I always knew, like, the Navy took me from the projects and let me experience all this other stuff that had
Hmm.
to happen for other people. We have to get them outside their environment so that they can see, like, wait a minute, how can we be in the exact same shape every city?
Right.
Like, are we born to be like this? Like, how can this be Detroit, St. Louis, Milwaukee? All these cities got this same challenge. A lot of churches, a lot of liquor stores, a lot of black men unemployed, a lot of politicians saying the same thing. Like, when you get exposed, then something is wrong. Like, something grander
Hmm.
is taking place here. This isn't a happenstance.
Right. And you would develop the report card for the quality of life in Lawndale. What's going on with the elected official? Let's grade them. And I don't think anybody got an A. I don't think anybody got over a C. You're like, how can the community look like this? How you call yourself effective?
My feelings got hurt because when I was getting ready to get out of the active duty part of the Navy, everyone was telling me, as soon as you get home, you got to meet with Mayor Daley, and he's gonna hook you up because this is what they all about, block clubs and
Mhm.
all of
Right.
that. I got out being naive, bought the house over there on Springfield. I'm thinking, like, I'm gonna meet. I sent the letter, and they sent me to my alderman. They said, meet with your alderman, don't meet with Mayor Daley.
Wow.
I finally meet with Chandler in the office, and I cried, and it was that bad. I ain't crying in front of Chandler, but I had built up all this hope that this finna come to fruition, and we're gonna work together. And this dude sat there in his office, and if looks could kill, I would have been 6 feet under, because he was so upset that I was organizing 14th and Springfield and 13th and Avers. And he said, we already got a council of block clubs and you ain't a part of it. You need to get all your block clubs underneath what we already have.
Wow.
And I was
Wow.
like, hold on, man. You represent the whole war and you telling me forget what I'm doing, what I started in the military. You saying roll it under what you doing and make
The
what I'm
Chicago
doing
way.
irrelevant. And I left there like, wow, that was my first dose of organizing gang banging in Chicago personally. Yep.
Right? And you got it for the 24th Ward.
And it got ugly because what happened, he was so threatened, and people don't realize this. For those who don't know, at least in the political sphere, if you're doing too much good, what's
Mm,
perceived good, helping the seniors, helping the youth, you become a threat to whoever is in power. Because if your popularity rises because you're helping humanity, like, you could run against them. And so, unfortunately, for those who don't know, this is the way the game is played. You must stay under whoever is in charge of that jurisdiction because you could become a threat to them. Now that's some important insight I just gave. I hope
yeah,
people get that. And so there's a certain amount of political suppression that has to take place all over America so that the ruling whoever's in power now can maintain their power. Isn't that something, Valerie?
it is. It is. I have experienced it. I know exactly what you mean. Remember, we were working on that garden, the African garden. And I can remember having a conversation with somebody. And she said, don't you think that garden is big? And just so people know what I'm talking about, this was an African garden, African themed garden in
Mhm,
North Lawndale on the west side of Chicago, where
mhm.
we had a planning process for people in the community to plan what was in the garden, the artwork, trying to compare our culture to Africa, the
Yep.
plants that grew here to there, blah, 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 blah. We acquired, or rather, we got the city to acquire 5 vacant lots for us. And I thought that was something we should really, really go out for. And somebody said to me, don't you think that's a little big? I'm like, no, it ain't big enough. You know,
Right,
my
right,
little
right.
naive self. I said, we need to make that the most, not the most important thing, but we really need to focus on that because in a community like Lawndale, only what 25% of the people own their homes.
Right.
You know, and there was a lot of low income people,
Yep.
and we didn't feel pride and ownership. So if we didn't
Right.
have anything else, we had our culture. And
Right.
that garden needed to be someplace where we could really feel proud. But
Yep.
I caught it about that too. So I know I know what you're talking about. And
And but I think the real the way you get over, the way they continue to get over is the fact that they would try to shape the narrative. And one of the things that I've always tried to explain to people is husband and wives don't agree on everything.
mhm,
That makes it more well, you can really think about this, but yet and still they make sure the household is run. Sometimes you win, sometimes you don't. But the way our system is designed, you're the enemy. So just
right.
imagine my wife don't leave the toilet seat up. Now she the enemy. You know what I mean? Like imagine what type of household we run in. She say it should be down, I say it should be up, and you the enemy if you disagree with me. Like that's how unfortunately we have allowed this political
Mhm.
system to be.
And it's interesting too, you know, and interjecting race in it. If we were white and we said the same things and did the same things you and I do, and you do
Hmm.
way more of it, and I've never been as active as you. And if you think the way we think,
Hmm.
you know, people be like, yeah, follow that person, listen to that person. That's a fine, upstanding citizen.
Hmm.
If you're
Hmm.
black and independent and happen to live in a low income black
Hmm.
neighborhood, then
Hmm.
that's threatening. There's
Big
something
time.
wrong with you.
Big time. Big time.
Yeah, that
And
needs to change.
no, but rightfully so though, Valerie. See, for me, when I think about this whole nation, it was formed on number one, people who are insecure personally. Insecure. So personal insecurity And that's what caused you to feel like you gotta take something because you feel
Mhm.
like they got something that I want. So insecurity first, then after that, then the need to control, which also expose your insecurity that you feel like you don't want people to make their own mind, you want to shape it. And so it's consistent with the foundation of this nation, formed by people who felt like let's move these Indians off and let's bring in these Africans and let's build for us. And then let's make sure that we keep them isolated and mentally where they don't have no hope at all and we can continue to control them. So I'm not surprised at all. It goes to the founding of this great nation. It's a great nation, but it's great
Mhm.
not because of what y'all did. It's great because of the free labor and the people who lost their land. That's why it's
Mhm.
great, not because of what they think they did.
Right. And yeah, that still goes on. It's too bad. So, what would you say are the top three issues that we're facing, and that we could be any we? It could be the Black community. It could be our nation. It could be our
Yeah.
cities.
The biggest number one is $12. So no, let me I double back on that. But I do believe that. But I double back because without context, people wouldn't understand. The
Right.
the biggest challenge right now is the reckoning. See, we at a beautiful place in the world where we had to acknowledge what's happened in the past. There's
Mm-hmm.
no more hiding because of technology, because of the way now information is able to move around the gatekeepers. And so this day was going to come at some point, and right now is the reckoning. There are people who was taught that they were better, their ancestors was better than what they really were. And this is a reckoning for them to hear that no, 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 your granddad, your great granddad was a rapist. He was a pedophile. He was a child molester, and that's gonna hurt some people because they like, man, I've been told these great stories, and so for some people in the world, that reckoning is gonna hurt. Then the other
Mm-hmm.
side, the reckoning is gonna be a form of empowerment. Black people, to me, are I don't think we're appreciating it enough, but it's things that we've been saying for our whole lifetime. And now others are starting to be able to see it. So it's almost like we should be saying, "Yep, she told you," but we
Mm-hmm.
too in the fire to say that right now to feel like that. But the reality is we've known all along. Columbus Day, like why are we honoring someone who did so much wrong? He was an explorer. So if I come into your house, am I an explorer or I'm a trespasser? Which one is it?
Right. It all depends. It all
So
depends on who's telling the story.
that's it. So the biggest thing right now is the reckoning. And I think the way we can help with the reckoning is to make sure that we tell people you don't have to apologize for what you didn't do. You don't have to apologize. Apologize for what you did. You can't apologize for other people because you could be saying sorry for your ancestors and they like, nope, I don't feel like that. That's you. That ain't
Right.
me. I still feel like I feel. So only apologize for what you did. Now, the key to the reckoning though is to recognize that guess what? You're no better than no one else. Everyone has a God given something that's unique to them. you
Mm-hmm.
know so that's the reckoning that people got to individually make. Now it's some structural reckoning we got to do too. We can't have this structure that's in place now where it's all European centric, so that's going to continue to manifest. The second issue to me, what we got to do in the world is we got to do right by Africa.
Mm-hmm.
So for the world, to everyone with cell phones and laptops, for those minerals to be coming from Congo, from Africa,
Oh wow.
and that be one of the poorest places in the world, that is wrong. And as a human being, you're participating in it, not directly, but
Right.
indirectly, because that exploitation is allowing the world to be on these gadgets. So
Wow.
you got the bigger reckoning, but then we got the African reckoning that has to happen. And the sad part about that, there has to be some right now losers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's some people who have to lose because of what's the exploitation. So it's like if I steal something from you, Valley, and I'm loving it, whatever I got your phone, I'm loving it. Part of the reconciliation is I got to give that phone back to you.
Right.
Even if you fell in love with it, Valerie, I got to give it back because that's the first step of the even after I give it to you, some things I gotta do to make it right, but I gotta give it back. And that's gonna be the fight of the future, is how do we reconcile these banks, these insurance companies that made money off of slavery,
Mm,
these people sitting on plantations, and now their children making money off plantation tours when they shouldn't even have kept the property like that. That's gonna be a tough reckoning there when that moment comes, you know. And I would say the third thing is black people in America, pooling our own resources internally and making sure that all the other ethnic groups that are eating off of our community can help them migrate away from being overly dependent on black women hair products, the corner stores, the gas stations. So to me, it's all about racial right sizing, because I don't even go call it equity, because it got to be an overcompensation now, because in
right,
order to get it, right, some people gonna have to have some right now losses.
right. Oh,
So I
that's
know that was a long answer.
no, but I appreciate that answer. I've never heard it explained quite like that. And before we go on, I just want to say hello to Sandra. Thank you, Sandra. I hope you're still watching. We will definitely continue to build up the community, and I hope you can be a guest one day. And then
Yes,
I know you remember Velda.
of course. Yeah.
Yeah, so she says good afternoon, and thank you so much, Velda. You're always, just encouraging us, and we really, really, really appreciate it.
I tell see Velda, she's like that mama as well. Old school, love her people and all of that stuff. So we're
Yeah.
gonna continue to lift up Velda, Miss Scott, all our people that's
Yes, yes.
close to those other camps, but we know where their heart is, you know.
Right, right. You do what you got to do. And
Yeah.
let's talk about your organizing philosophy. What if
I, I,
if you have one, what would you say it would be?
I take no credit, Valerie. This is a military model just converted for civilians. Military model converted for civilians, because the military has to be able to operate 24/7.
Okay, got
Imagine our people in the submarines sitting around the world making sure that nothing flies over America. Imagine if I'm taking
wow,
Christmas off. Hey man, I got 4th of July off. No, no,
wow. Well,
they
thank you
must
for
stay
being on
there.
the wall for us. Now I'm thinking about that movie, A Few Good Men.
Hmm.
Um, with his my favorite line, the one I never forget. You can't handle the truth.
Yep,
You know that you want somebody like me on that wall.
yep.
You may hate me, but you want somebody like me on the wall. It's because of
That,
me that you enjoy
yeah,
freedom.
that and that it gave me chills even when he said it, because it's so true. It's some guys that's they in the submarines, Valerie. I couldn't do it. I know my weakness. Like I can't be submerged. So when you look at them, you got nothing but endearment for them because of what they're enduring to be able to be gone 6 months underneath the ocean. I mean,
Oh, wow.
it's some special people out there, and you gotta love what they do every day to operate.
Hmm. So that's
Yeah.
amazing. That's amazing. So then you're doing some work internationally. You're working with different countries in Africa. Tell us about that.
So our structure, which is Chicago as the global headquarters, Chicago's the global headquarters. And Valerie, August 5th, 1966, Dr. King got hit in the head. And he said
Mm.
the racism he experienced in Chi-Town was worse than anything in the South, from Mississippi to Alabama. Now
I
that says
believe it.
something, Valerie. Think about that.
I believe it. I used to work in corporate.
I mean, but this is the leader who been traveling all around. For
Yeah.
him, he got positional authority to speak because of where he been all over. And for him to
Yeah.
say that about Chicago, what do that say?
It says a lot. We're
It
up
says the
south.
world. So and think about who's in charge here, Daily One. You know what I
Yep.
mean? So
Yep.
that says something. But
Right.
but it also just shows the segregation and how venomous that white energy was of you guys stay isolated and away from me. isolate, and away from me. And the joke was in the North, you could be black and you can get as high as you want in the North as long as you stay away from the whites. Then in the South,
Hmm.
because that's what majority black said, it say, I don't care if you be around me, just don't get too high. And so that what I mean, that was the
Right.
that was the saying back then. But to go back to what you was asking, we took 20 black neighborhoods in Chicago by zip code, and we organized them zip codes so that each one is responsible for a different U.S. city, a
Hmm.
different country in Africa, a different career field, and a different primarily white suburb. So one Chicago zip code has those relationships and responsibilities to build relations in all them jurisdictions. So that's
Okay,
how we're structured.
that's interesting. So you're trying to, I guess, as part of your work, you're trying to do some reconciliation, I, between the races. Is that why you're trying to get a majority white suburb as well within those groups?
What contrary to the way people may hear me speak, I'm grateful for the whites. I got, to me, good white support from working in corporate for 18 years.
Oh,
The
that's
money
great.
that's come into us from downtown Chicago. I ran for mayor of Gary. One non-black person put up $100,000 for me to run. We ran the best campaign in Gary, Indiana in 2015, from my military people who are white, and their support. So I've, since 1993, I've had tremendous white support. And especially in the military, when your life is on the line, you get to see who you can count on. And so I know firsthand that all white people aren't bad. And so I always knew that anything we do, it it has to have a component where it allows for good people, no matter the race, to be able to do good together.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, the suburbs is designed to bridge that gap between the urban, suburban, and even rural as well. So that is a part of the whole matrix that is all based out of Chicago zip codes.
Oh my goodness. So you really kind of picking up a little bit from where Martin Luther King left off. That was, I guess, his next frontier. I guess he was looking at the Poor People's Campaign, but I think
Hmm.
what was more threatening was the fact that it wasn't just black poor people. And I think for you, you don't care what people's income level is. If you got something to contribute to the cause, then, they could work with
No,
you.
no, no, black. No, no, Valerie. I do. This what I believe, and whites that know me well, they will tell you this about me. I believe that society has to do right by blacks first.
Hmm.
Society has to do right by blacks first. Now that don't mean that if a white person is stranded, you say, nope, I can't help you because I got to do right by blacks first. No, you do the immediate. You help the
Hmm.
person, right? But what people don't realize, to me, collectively, is when you have allowed black people to be on the bottom and everyone else feed off and benefit off of them. And for those who might not agree to that, please know, when you look at the beauty supply stores, the liquor stores, apparel stores, nail salon, gas station, corner stores, cell phone shops, you can look at the seven continents in the world. None of them is from Africa that's dominating in Black America in any of
Hmm.
them economic industries. You even have the Indians, the natives, who have started going after black people in terms of commercials for their casinos. So at first it was everyone else trying to taking black dollars, but now you got the natives with commercials on black radio stations. Come
Wow.
gamble with us. Come spend your money with us. And it's like, wow, that's a double-edged sword. Now we got the natives coming after us too. so
So
so to
what?
me, no, go
Yeah,
ahead, man.
yeah. I was just wondering. So, what do you think is the solution? Because I think it's disheartening. When I was in college and business school, I looked at where we were. I guess as black people in business, I looked at the fact that I think at that point in the '80s we had 15% of the population, but only 7% of the gross national product. So we only contributed like 7%, maybe 7.5. But then when you look at the 30s, those same statistics, were almost reverse, where blacks were about 7.5% of the population, but contributing 15% of the GNP. And I'm like, so we've gone through the civil rights movement, we've gone through affirmative action. I can go to any school I want to, so to speak, but yet we are going backwards. And the situation now, 30 years later, is even worse, you know?
I don't believe it's worse. I think it's better. I think yeah.
Tell
So
me
here's
about
the thing with numbers, and you know how I go with numbers. I can tweak numbers to do and be whatever I
it.
wanted the narrative to be.
Mhm.
Here's what I would say, because there's been priests molesting boys for 50 years.
Okay.
Is it worse now that we're hearing about it, or is it worse that that boy had to grow up in silence
Ooh.
because you couldn't come out? What's worse? It's a
Ooh.
subjective viewpoint. What's worse, not being able to tell people what happened to me, or
Mhm.
now being able to come out? And right now, because people are being exposed, we think it's worse. No, this is the best time in America. Oh, race relations. Oh, so it was okay when we had to be silent. It was okay when the police can kill us and there was no protest. It was just like, you better get over it. This is the best time. Like, think about that. Just because something is silent, you don't see it, don't mean it's best.
Well, you, all right. So you make a good point, but okay, in Chicago,
Hmm.
it's supposed to be the black business mecca, right? But it seems like we've lost so many of our major black businesses. What's
We
replacing that?
yeah, it's retooling. It's retooling to me. And so I always said, Valerie, when blacks was migrating north for the jobs in the factories and the warehouses, what we weren't doing is had our finger on the scale for the future, right? Where automation was coming in,
Mhm.
industrialization. So we always got to make sure that someone is keeping an eye, standing guard, but keeping an eye on the future, so we can tap into that too. What's happening now, when you look at society economically, is we're starting to see everything going back to Africa, everything going back to agricultural, everything going back to the land, everything going back to, where eventually people are gonna have, a paycheck, but they ain't gonna have nothing to do. You know what I mean? And so we got to make sure that at the end of the day, what we do is we get control of the land, where we can grow the food and we can make sure that we can live. But more importantly to me, what we got to do is be able to get the 7 continents to work together, be there and support, circulate money with each other. That's to me what the future, because those 1%ers, they have the toughest time, because 7 billion people not finna sit here and starve while the 1% spend millions on picture frames and stuff like that. So, I don't think it's bad, except for the people who continue to exploit the masses, because the masses are getting too woke and they're not gonna just tolerate that.
All right. So where do you think we're going from here?
Earlier you asked me what's the solution, and I joked about it, but I'm gonna come back to it, Valerie.
Okay.
I'm gonna come back to this $12, and
Uh,
I want people to understand the root of the $12 idea, the concept.
mhm.
So, and this biblical, I don't know the Bible like that to quote it, but it's not the amount as much as it is what's in your heart to circulate. And I
Mhm.
always love to equate the blood circulating in your veins. That carries oxygen. So
Yeah.
when you don't circulate, it's like a blood clot, and you can die from blood clots.
Oh.
So the fact that we got people on the block, 80 people on the block, who don't circulate, no money with each other, and so on the block, someone sell pies, someone sell t-shirts, but I'm not gonna circulate with you. I'm gonna let that be a blood clot. I'm gonna let you die. Wait, why are you laughing at that, Barry?
I got memories. But you know what? That is so true. That
It's
is very,
basic. No,
very true.
it's basic. Like, this is basic. So to me, we have to fight past all the things psychological that tell you why you won't circulate with your neighbor, why you won't circulate with businesses in your zip code. And it's all type of reasons we justify in our head. Oh, I don't like his son. I don't like we find reasons. I call it SFF, see fault first. We find something to see fault in, and that be our justification on why we won't circulate. And so when I talk about $12 a year, $1 a month, a quarter a week, 48 quarters a year, it is the excuse to circulate something that won't hurt you either way. You could be facing eviction. That $1 is not gonna stop the eviction. But what it could do, it can link you with someone who got an extra house, who, you know what I mean? And that connection can end up getting you what you ultimately need. But because I don't have the discernment to see past my immediate emotional problem. I don't want to have nothing to do with you. I isolate, I do my own thing. I call it DMOT, DMOT, doing my own thing. That is a challenge for black people, DMOT, where we just do our own thing, and that hurts us because
Right.
of the blood clot, you know?
Right. And I don't know if you noticed Velda's comment while you were talking. I'll put it up there again. Not enough blacks working together to make things happen.
So,
And
you know, I go against like mostly anything that's said, right? Because I want to always look at the counter. And I appreciate when
okay.
people do it to me too. It's out of love. So I love you, Velda. so so to me, we don't have to work together. Black people don't have to work together. The working together gives me the feeling like I must uh, know you and I must do something with you. That's what working together means to me. And in functional communities, people don't have to work together. What they do though is they make sure that they have institutions, which is repeated patterns of behavior over and over and over again. And those behaviors allow things to anchor. So for instance, I don't have to work together to make sure that we ban black. That just means I'm buying it anyway. I'm buying it from black people. But that behavior over and over and over again go allow them black businesses not to shut down. That ain't working together. That's just a behavior that I'm going to institute that says Chinatown, Greek Town, Little Italy do it. When do you see Chinatown coming out talking about vote for Biden, vote for Trump? When do you see? You don't, because they understand that it's really what they do personally, but collectively without physically working together, if that makes sense.
yeah, it does. It does. The proof is in the pudding. So
Because
what
working together for us, Valerie, means if you don't agree with me, you my op, you my enemy. And that's my
right.
big reason why that word bothers me when I hear say we gotta work together, because now I know that if you don't like my philosophy, you go call me the enemy.
Well, well, that is true. You know, I've had that happen to me so many times. I've been viewed as the enemy on projects that I started. You know, I'm serious, and that's fodder for another show. But it's it's something wrong with that picture when people look at someone who has pull them to the table and don't appreciate that work. There's something wrong with that. I think when we
Mhm.
can't. I'm in Velda's corner. We can't work together. It's or
Well,
maybe there's certain ones of us
you-
who can't.
but this is what I believe, because the army, it's people in the army who think that they better than the Navy. It's people in the Navy think they better than the Marines. It's people in the Marines think they better than the Coast Guard. And they really believe it, right? So
Yeah.
that's not relevant. The DOD, the Department of Defense, says all of y'all are gonna do what we say when we say do it.
Right,
So,
right.
but the DOD represents a coordinating force. They
Got
coordinate. If we going after an enemy that
it.
requires sovereignty, like we can't go on their land, let's send the Navy. That way we can have our land, we can launch our airplanes from our land on the ship.
Mhm.
If there's a mission that requires us to come from underneath the ocean, let's use submarine. My point is, with black people in the shape that we're in, we must have coordination, and coordination is different than the whole working together. And it's not, it's still working together, but just know that most people, when they hear working together, that means we got to be in lockstep. And that's all I mean by saying we shouldn't like go down that path. You got a specialty, you got something to bring to the table. I do too. Let's coordinate together. The homeowner want a new porch. The carpenter think they better than the painter. So they arguing over who go first and all this. It don't matter. The homeowner want a new porch, and they want a porch that is painted and look good. So what has to happen is coordination. Hey, carpenter, you come out 30 days, you build a porch, you never have to see the painter. Once you gone, porch is built, I will call the painter out there to paint it. So that's what we need. We need coordination. We don't have to do this carpenter and painter working together, them being by each other, fighting and arguing over whose job is more important.
Oh man, you've been here before. You sound like you're older than 44.
We're 45. Me and
Oh,
Donald
okay.
Trump, 45,
Okay.
45.
All right. All right. So you are older than 44. All right. So so what are some of the lessons that you've learned along the way? I think we've heard some of them as you talk, but just humor me.
Now, Valerie, is it my phone? But the sound went out. Did I do something? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
It sounds faint. I don't know if it's something I did or.
It could be my internet.
Well, I'm in the mountains, so it might be mine, but I can hear you. It's just a little bit more faint. But um, I that's what I've been sharing the lessons, like, because I told you I was naive, thinking kumbaya, we all go come together and improve life and make life better for people. And at 45, what I would say is the biggest lesson is meeting people where they are, but always having in the back of that interaction more than one options. So for instance, in the past, I would go in that meeting with someone and I wanted them to do one thing. I don't operate like that no more, Valerie. So when I go in that meeting, I already got 3 options. So whichever way they go, it can fit with what the hope was anyway. So just like this upcoming election, November 4th, if it's Trump, we got a game plan for 4 more years of Trump. If it's Biden, we got a game plan for 4 years of Biden. So I think being that dynamic allows us to not be emotional. And that's one of the biggest things that I would say is the lesson learned, is taking the emotion and putting it in the right compartment. We need emotion, so we don't want to get rid of emotion, but we want to put it in the right section inside the luggage, so we're not carrying all that luggage around with us.
Right, right. All right. So, what advice would you give to somebody who wanted to start a block club or start organizing, or who wants to do what you're doing?
To be honest with you, the key to me to someone who want to get started is to make sure that they look in the mirror and find out if this is what they really, really want to do. Because we've had people organize, and they organize because of tragedy has struck them, and now they want to take action. And so what I would say to people is always try to connect with people who've been there and done that, people who have experience in that, and then always get more than one perspective. So if you talk to an elder organizer, talk to a Republican elder organizer, talk to a Democrat elder organizer, so you're armed with different perspectives instead of just what the one person said. A key example of that is when I was in Kenya, Africa, I snuck and went on the wrong side. They told us, don't go over there, we can't protect you over there. I went anyway because this was the homeland and I wanted to get that experience. That exposure gave me a perspective that the people who didn't go over there didn't have. Even though I was in the country, I gained a different insight by hearing on the other side. And I think that's what the biggest advice is: make sure that you get multiple views, not just, one view. Uh-oh. Look like I lost you. You still there, Valerie? Uh-oh. Might be my connection, not sure. Can you hear me, Valerie? Okay.
All righty, guys. I lost connection for just a minute. Um, Can you hear me now, Velda? Okay, you guys, I'm not sure if you can hear me. If you can hear me, please type in and let me know that you can hear me. Can you hear me, Sai?
Yep.
Okay, good. Yeah, I'm sorry. I lost connection over here and had to get out and get back in.
I didn't know if people could still hear me or not. I kept talking as if they could.
Yeah, we could hear you. I just got lost. That's all. Okay. So, all right.
Yeah, well,
Well,
I gave my advice, so that was what I believe people could do.
yeah, and I think that's good. I think you should write a book. You've had some interesting experiences. All right. And then before we go, I could just remember looking at my Facebook feed and looking at a memory. I think it was something you wrote about a year ago, 2 days ago, something to the effect that you're concerned about anti-violence programs and wondering, whether or not we're becoming too dependent on the government to do what it is that we're supposed to be doing. And I guess you would look at it from a male perspective.
Yeah.
But
Um. Yeah. That started to me in the '80s. When all this funding came for faith based in the '90s. I mean, I think it started with Clinton, part of the crime bill, $6 billion for anti-violence. And so what ended up happening was it created an environment where people can get paid now to do something that you should do just because these are your loved ones. You want to keep them safe. And so part of that crime bill, 356-page crime bill, was creating a climate where people now got to get paid to keep people safe. And you're not going to retire with that. So the challenge for me is it's immediate gain. You get money right then and there, but come on, you're not going to be able to retire and have sustainability. So to me, it's the politicians' way of giving you something to continue to vote for them, and at the same time, not looking at the long term uh, challenge that we need to create equity in terms of all these jobs that's going to other people, all these businesses and stuff like that.
yeah, so that might have been a way too for Clinton and others to get support for that bill. Put some
But
money.
remember Pat Quinn in 2010, $55 million last minute came, and they had our
Oh
black
yeah,
teenagers
yep.
with T-shirts on saying "Be nice to one another" and handing out flyers saying "Do good." And that was one of the in your face ways the Republicans in Illinois tried to make sure they knew this is give black people something so that they can keep voting for us so we can continue to control the state.
I remember that, and they. I don't know. At least I've never read publicly that there was a full accounting. There are some of those programs they couldn't really get an accounting for in terms of what was
Valerie,
accomplished.
there's right now Philly has the second most murders in America to Chicago, and
Wow.
there's a group getting 500 grand. Next year is going to go up to 750 grand. The violence interrupters and all this here stuff. What black people should know, at the end of the day, it wouldn't matter how much money you put in our community to make life better. Every second that our black men feel hopeless, every second that our black men feel like they got to defend themselves, that threat, it wouldn't matter how much money you put in there. The solution, the way we're going to fix that is we got to have a national agreement where black men are going to be able to get paid and they're going to be moving around this nation on deployment, just like the military, 6-month deployment, 1 year deployment, 3 year deployment. and they're going to go in other black neighborhoods and help liberate them black neighborhoods of the exploiting forces like gas station, liquor stores, corner stores, payday loan stores, all these vipers who sucking the money out of our neighborhood every single second. So people don't want to talk about that because that sounds radical, but we can't build our community as long as people, it's like you cut your heat on, but you leaving the door wide open. No matter how much money you put in the black community, as long as these other ethnic groups are sucking the money out, come on, how much production we really gonna see?
Okay. Now what about us? Isn't the onus on us to build our
$12,
business?
Valerie. No, Valerie, I started with that. I told you that $12 is so no. I said
Okay.
that first.
Okay.
Valerie, Valerie, think about this. If we can agree on $1 a month, what will we agree on?
Nothing. And speaking of which, before we go, let us know how we can get you that $12 a month and what the money is going for and what
Not a
program.
month, Valerie. That's gonna scare people.
I'm sorry, $12 a year, $1 a month, $1 a month. And
That's right. That's right.
you said you can send me $12 a month if you want it.
Well, we don't
Okay,
even want people saying that because then I ain't doing. That's
right,
a
that's
trust
true.
me. I've
I
been at
got
a
it
long
wrong.
time. So
$1 a month,
yep,
twelve
$12 a year.
dollars a year,
And,
and
and,
the
and but I want people to know why this matters. Why this matters because
okay,
we're in these zip codes. Every month, every piece of money we collect, we know from the zip code. So that's the whole point of let's pool together by zip code. Then we make certain that the money is spent in the zip code. So it's really a gathering point and a circulation point. And if you move to another zip code, then there you go. We'll pool your $12 to that zip code. But the point is it allows us to galvanize without no leader. Is based on the zip code and it's based on individual personal responsibility that we're going to pull together something small, but it can add up very quickly. And keep in mind, we spend $10 million minimum on the lottery in every black zip code in Chicago and been doing that since the 70s. So we have it. The notion that we don't have it is not based in fact. We have the money. What we don't have is agreement to pull together something that's not going to hurt you economically.
wow, that's pretty deep. So I know with COVID-19, I don't know, are you guys mailing the money? I know you typically drop money off to, in different spots, but are you accepting electronic payment or mail checks?
We've always done it three ways. We covered it for the elders. Our elders are typical old school. They want to mail it in. They still got checks. They write the checks, so they mail it in. So that's one way, and our website has the address on there. www.nationalblockclubuniversity.com. And the beauty with the website, Valerie, it's 20, I mean, it's almost 50 pages on this website. So whatever city you're on, you can go to your city's page and see what's happening in your city page. But that's how you mail it in. You can also go to PayPal button on the website and do it electronically. We also got Cash App and we got Zelle Quick Pay. But the website is the one that'll give you the most confidence because you can see firsthand the work that's being done and how we do it around the country. So yeah, that's how people can support this concept.
National Black Club University.com. That's one word and not two.
All together. Yep, all of it is together. So will this is this pre is recorded now? Will you play it again or this is it, Val?
Right.
It's breaking up. I can't hear you. I can't hear you. All right. Seems like we lost Valerie. Um, and it's funny because I'm the one normally with drop calls and everything. But again, if you guys want to donate, the website is www.nationalblockclubuniversity.com. Are you back? Okay. Last time she was able to get in, she said that you guys still can hear me. So I want to just say thank you again. And the website is www.nationalblockclubuniversity.com. Cash App is the $ SYRON. That's my first name, Syron. And we hope you guys will support this concept. We will definitely get in touch with you and find out what zip code you're coming from. So that way we can support that zip code and the young people from that zip code. And that's it. Thank you.
All right, Sai. All right, guys. It looks like we're having some technical difficulty. I'm going to end this. We've already been over a little bit today. So I want to say thank you guys for joining us. And we'll talk to you next week. We'll be talking about Giving Tuesday. All right. And we'll have Sai come on again sometime. All right. Talk to you later. Take care. Oh. Hey, hey, Sai.
Yes. I still can't see you, Valerie.
So I'm gonna end the stream.
Yeah,
Huh?
I still your screen is black.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah. Yep. So I'm not quite sure what's going on.
I can hear you fine.
Yeah, my camera is not hooked up. I'm using a different camera now. Let's see.
There you go.
All right. All right. You can see my green screen thing, but at any rate, I was about to close us off anyway.
Is it recorded? Can we send this out to our
Mm-hmm.
audience to watch later?
Yes, we can. Yep.
Excellent. All right.
All right.
Good.
I'll
Good.
I'll make sure. Yeah, it's on Facebook, and I can make sure you also get a copy of this. Hey, Sai, how are you? We see you. There you go. Oh, thank you. Sai is so sweet.
Yeah, oh, Cy Lewis. Yeah, she's a
Yeah.
superstar. She is a superstar. Yes, indeed.
Hey, my little green screen is showing.
Nah,
So
nah. I see the backdrop. I don't see green screen.
that's my little reflection on top of the green screen. All right. Well, at any rate, I'm
Yeah, I don't know.
going to come back point.
There we go.
All right. All right. So I think I should end this. We're having so many crazy things happen with my microphone, my camera, and all that good stuff.
I appreciate you, Valerie. This is awesome.
All right. Thank you so much. All
Okay.
right. You take care.